Dr. Joseph Martin, welcome again. Good to see you here. Mysticism, Miracles, and Self-Healing. This is part 3 in a series of 3 on mysticism, and this one is considering miracles and self-healing. I would like to suggest to you from my own personal experience that miracles happen every day when you're open, when you're ready, and you co-create them with Source. And this is the source of all self-healing in the 21st century and beyond. Now, I need you to know that my background is in all the sciences. That includes human physiology, anatomy, biochemistry, immunology, microbiology, physics, chemistry, and also as a psychologist and as a medical cross-cultural anthropologist. So what I'm speaking to you of is my personal experience, and I'm happy to say that it's based also along the way on all my scientific research in universities and in teaching in universities, and also my clinical work with thousands of people over 40 years here in Canada, and also on my personal intuitive medical guidance as a medical intuitive. So trying to put all this together for you in a way that will be meaningful for you. And I'd like to say that, of course, you will also need to consult all your own physicians, whether they be medical doctors of the Western tradition or Ayurvedic doctors, traditional Chinese medical doctors, Tibetan doctors, shamans, or other complementary physicians that you work with, such as naturopaths and homeopaths, all of which I have a background and interest in, and I know many of them. And a lot of these herbal medicines are very important as well. Vitamins, minerals, and natural medicines that are time-tested for hundreds of thousands of years by our indigenous ancestors worldwide on all continents and cultures. The main point of this is self-healing. Self-healing comes at a time in the 21st century when we're aware that people need to take self-responsibility for their health concerns and issues, now and in the future, for you individually in terms of your life cycle stage where you're at, whatever age you're at, whatever condition you have. It is time today now, and I'm giving you this inspiration hopefully to take responsibility for yourself and your whole health, spiritually, mentally, emotionally, psychologically, physiologically, biochemically, relationally, and socially. Now, knowing that modern Western medicine, which as an historian of medicine cross-culturally, is about 140 years old, which is really a drop in the bucket when it comes to the history of humanity's medical concerns, interests, and knowledge base. Our ancient knowledge from Ayurveda and traditional Chinese medicine is anywhere from 5,000 to 8,000 years old, depending on the particular area geographically we're speaking of. While modern medicine is great for two things, particularly surgery and emergency, there are many things that modern medicine still has yet to learn in terms of the complete integrity of the whole human being. And I am speaking here of spiritual, mental, psychological, emotional, nutritional aspects and soul and spirit aspects of the human being. I am very certain that within the next 50 to 100 years that modern medicine globally will become a little more unified and understanding as they delve deeper into the sciences, the ancient and modern cross-cultural sciences that go well beyond just human anatomy, physiology, cell physiology, immunology, and the like. All these things need to be synthesized and integrated at a higher level of consciousness so that our medical students in years to come will have a greater understanding of the vast, supreme complexity and unique integrity of the divine human spiritual, physical, emotional, mental being. Now, my story is quite unique, and I'm sure you love life stories because that's how we learn the best, isn't it? So I was born in 1950 in Toronto, and I was born with serious heart challenges, and it's surprising in many ways to the doctors and my family that I actually did survive in the first few weeks. And there was a hole in my heart the size of a Canadian silver dollar called a ventricular septal defect, a big hole between the inner wall of the left and right ventricles of the heart. I also had a problem with mitral valve and the aortic valve that didn't close properly, and there was also some leaks in the aorta itself. Now, while I was able to survive for the first few years, I was not able to breathe properly, ran out of energy, had a hard time even walking around. I would faint on the way to public school and kindergarten, grade one, and fall and hit my head on the sidewalk, be taken home, and so on. And I was lucky because my heart and my body were failing to be one of the first in North America, if not the first to actually live through open heart surgery in 1958 at Sick Children's Hospital in Toronto. All this story is quite an amazing story, and it's to be found in my autobiography, Living in Two Worlds, A Life of Love, which is available through us at, online. Now, this surgery, and I'm going to shorten the story here because it's kind of interesting, but here's the point. The surgery was half successful. It was 18 and a half hours. I was 8.5 years of age. There was a big patch, a Teflon patch on my heart, but it was only put on half the hole because they thought it would stretch the hole too much in the heart muscle by trying to sew on a patch of that magnitude and size. So I was kept in Sick Children's Hospital for an entire year and missed grade 3, although they passed me anyways at school. And I was being prepped for a second operation a year later in the hospital. I learned a lot of compassion wheeling kids around, friends that I've met in the hospital who had no arms or legs, and at least I was able to push them a bit in their wheelchairs up and down the hall. Ate lots of hot dogs with ketchup and had like peanut butter and jam sandwiches and strawberry milkshakes, and that was about all I was able or wanted to eat. I guess like most kids at that age. Now, come time for the second operation, um, they were prepping me for another operation. I had not told the doctors that after the first operation, when they told me that they would have to keep me in for a second operation, that I did a number of things to create miracles for myself in my physical health. I prayed. I was not necessarily a Christian. I was not going to church at the time, but I had an inner sense of my own source and my own divinity, and I had an inner connection with my own sense of divinity and was able to connect with great spiritual masters such as Jesus at the time and some other Hindu teachers that I happened to seemingly know from my own conscious birth. And so I used my mental willpower, my focused concentration of my mind, and I used my open-hearted emotion and just surrendering to what was meant to be for me. I was able to somewhat work through my fears and anxieties about whether I would live physically or not. And I was able to visualize, use my capacity for visualization every single day to imagine through the power, the great power of imagination, always to be highlighted here, the power of imagination, that the whole would close on its own and that I would co-participate with Source in creating a complete, whole, and healing, healthy heart and body and mind and soul. Well, they did all the scopes and tests and examinations, prepping me for the second operation, and lo and behold, the heart had healed on its own. And the doctor called me into his office. I still remember this very clearly. It's a great memory for me. And he leaned back against his office desk and asked me to sit down in front of him there and said, "Now, I have no scientific evidence for how this can be. However, the hole in your heart is now completely cleared and whole, and you will not need a second operation. And instantly, I already knew that this was the case, but I knew also that intuitively I could not tell the doctor that I had healed myself and that miracles came from the source within me and without me, outside, from inside and out. I knew he wouldn't understand the logistic rationalizations of people who are trained only as scientists, precludes them from understanding how miracles can happen from a higher and a divine source. And that started me on a quest. The quest has taken me through my entire life. I'm 63 now, and I'm happy to say I am healthy. And the quest has been this: I have turned over every stone and looked into every science, ancient and modern, all the ancient sciences before modern science developed, and that includes alchemy before it became chemistry, astrology before it became astronomy, and all the great sciences, ancient and modern. And I went at it pell-mell, completely, devotedly, in a very detailed, in a very thorough and organized way, to discover the power of miracles through knowing your unity with the source. And this, as you'll see in all my other videos, is the purpose of what I'm sharing with you as my legacy and my gift to you and the world for time to come, generations to come. The power of self-healing comes when you can integrate all that you are and come to know who you are, where you come from, why you're here, what you're to do while you're here, what's your meaningful mission, and what is your vision for the next stage and stages of your life. When you can know this, and when you can co-participate with Source of all that is, in your own self-healing, and by the way, it does take primarily self-responsibility. And in a time when, there's an economic recession and challenges to the medical system, and we're wondering how much financial support and care we're getting for our medical support and help here in Canada. And certainly we have one of the best medical systems in the world, if not the best. In other countries, I know this is a big challenge. So for those of you in other countries, I would say to you, it is time to take self-responsibility for your own healing. And as you do, make sure that you are aware of your spiritual source and center, and your own true identity is the divine human being that you are, the love that you are. And your mental consciousness, concentration, and willpower is very important, and the power of imagination to see and know and feel and taste and hear and smell and taste and intuit your full, complete healing wherever you are. And also emotionally, to deal with all the fears and anxieties come up, to transmute and transform them into love, courage, strength, decision, prayer, meditation, yoga, and action. All those are important in order for the last and lowest vibrational body, your physiological body, to make the changes it can and will. We know this from all the work that we've done in my 40 years or so as a clinician, and all the research I've done and the thousands of people I've worked with, all with autoimmune illnesses and other kinds of serious illnesses. They have been able, to a certain extent, turn it around. And that, of course, there's a karmic element to all of this as well, isn't there? We know now from all the work, say, from Dr. Bruce Lipton, and who's one of the great self-physiologists of our time, that there's a lot of plasticity in the genetic coding and also the self-physiology that can change when you change your consciousness to a higher frequency and vibration. And what the key element here is love. We know that the universe is made from love. It was created from love. It sustains itself in love. Everything heals and grows and evolves in love. And we're talking here of the highest unconditional love and highest kindness and respect and consideration, compassion. We know that the brain now has a neuroplasticity. It can change and grow after certain challenges or illnesses or things that have gone on in the brain. Nerves can regrow, blood can redeem itself and heal itself. And all these things show that consciousness is the operative word here, the operative methodology the technique of love consciousness to heal. I certainly know my own case, and I've healed myself of so many different concerns health-wise over all my lifetime, many, 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 many of them, and I won't even go into them here, all using the power of love and consciousness of spirit and mind and will over matter, because that's how the universe was created and it's how the universe is sustained, and it's certainly how we as individual humans sustain ourselves through loving, kind, self-responsive balance and harmony with ourselves, creating that ability to heal and to grow, and in my case, to even feel younger as the years go on and have more energy, because this is how I can draw through all my work in Qigong and Daiji and Chinese medicine and Ayurveda. I have learned how to use energy, cosmic energy, earth energy, energy from the elements, how to spin it, how to open my chakras, how to make it flow through my meridians and through my chakras, and which way to spin it. And all these things are quite important as a way of understanding that we are love magnets and love electricity. And when you do that and you know how to move the magnetic flow and the electrical flow through your bodies, your four energy bodies is one in the physical and around you in your aura, then you are able to create some deep miraculous self-healing. So just in closing, I'd like to say that miracles are normal. They happen every nanosecond. You can co-participate in this when your consciousness is aligned in the highest way and your uniqueness is a deep centered kind of peace and joy and surrender that you can feel and experience in every moment of your day. Then all good things will come through you and to you and for you and from you, and you will feel that beneficence, that glow, that joy that only the greatest love consciousness can bring for you, and you will create that mystical self-healing magic for yourself. All love and blessings, Dr. Joseph Martin.